was the year 1990 when Freddie Mercury, frontman and lead singer of the renowned British rock band Queen, recorded the song, "The Show Must Go On." He did this while suffering from the debilitating disease AIDS. The song was released just 6 weeks before his death. Songwriter and bandmate Brian May wrote the song in acknowledgement of the bravery and perseverance of his friend Freddie, despite his grave illness. One chorus of the song goes like this: "The show must go on. The show must go on. I'll face it with a grin. I'm never giving in. On with the show. The show must go on." A common phrase in show business, "the show must go on," indicates that whatever obstacles get in the way of a successful performance, they must be met with perseverance and fortitude. Freddie conveyed through the song that despite challenges and attempts to halt the progress, the fight to persist until the end, never giving up, is paramount. Not only did he sing those words, he embodied them, refusing to surrender up until his last breath. But Freddie was a prominent figure and had support and resources, while during this same time, countless others suffering from the AIDS epidemic often died alone, ignored and rejected by society. Churches, authorities, and some of their own families turned their backs on them. Hospital staff refused care out of the fear of the quote-unquote gay cancer. And even funeral homes and cemeteries rejected their remains. Imagine being sick and feeling utterly alone in one of the scariest moments of your life, then to be treated like you don't matter or less than human. But I know of one group that stood by them. One group provided them companionship, cared for them, and suffered the indignity with them. It was the same group that the Los Angeles Dodgers just recently disinvited from receiving the Dodgers Heroes Award, an award which is granted to those who have given outstanding service in their communities. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence were to receive the award, as they have been for years dedicated to community outreach, to marginalized individuals, and to the advocacy of human rights, diversity, and spiritual enlightenment. So why did the Dodgers rescind their invitation to this exceptional organization? It was due to the threats of violence and boycotts from religious and political extremists in our nation. These individuals labeled the sisters anti-Christian because of the use of their face paint and nuns' habits. The choice of their attire is intentional, however, highlighting the troubled history between Western religion and the LGBTQ plus communities. It symbolizes an abusive relationship in which the church accepts the contributions of service, talent, and donations from Q plus communities, only to offer them condemnation in return. And many of us here today can relate, as we have also felt the sting of that condemnation. Due to their use of drag performances and satire to boldly address issues of gender and morality, some even mislabeled them sisters of hate. But it wasn't hate that motivated them to serve the dying AIDS patients when others had turned away. Can you imagine having to watch so helplessly as your friends die one after another? It was compassion, I contend. It was bravery and the shared experience of oppression, marginalization, and erasure that compelled them during those dark days. Now, leading up to this Pride Month, we have witnessed an unprecedented onslaught against the rights of LGBTQ people in this nation. In fact, year after year in our Pride sermons, we often acknowledge the ongoing struggles in our community. But this year, it feels a little different. Just this week, for the first time in their 40-year history, the Human Rights Campaign issued a national state of emergency for members of the Q plus community. So far in 2023, they have tracked nationwide over 500 anti-LGBTQ bills. According to the advocacy group, more than 200 of those bills are directly aimed at trans rights, and 45 bills would ban or censor drag performances. And there have been extremist groups showing up to drag queen storytelling events in Ohio, California, and many other places. And even here in Tulsa, where we've recently had instances of violence and intimidation directed against our community and those who support us. Now, there are conservative voices who are speaking up about the partisan extremists, saying, quote, "That's not who we are. These people are attempting to hijack true conservatism, Jesus and the church." Yet, the intimidation has reached a fever pitch. Much of this has been fueled by outrageous political rhetoric. And as columnist Dean Obadala pointed out, quote, "Politicians won't stop as long as they believe weaponizing the LGBTQ community helps them politically, even if it leads to a spike in hate crimes against that community," end quote. And all of this is causing a chilling effect. People are afraid to go places alone. Educators fear losing their licenses, are removing entire shelves of books that even slightly touch on topics of race or the LGBTQ community. Trans people are leaving their home states. And when it comes to our allies, even some of those who have previously proclaimed to support us are now retreating. The Dodgers are just one example. Budweiser, Target, and some others have also capitulated. But the lies told are from the same old playbook, the same old script. The plot is as old as time: divide, conquer, distract, point at a vulnerable community and blame them for what's wrong in the world, generate outrage, score political points. A lot less work than actually working across the aisle or doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Remember, a few years ago, it was Muslims and Sharia law. Then the invading, quote unquote, criminals and rapists from across the southern border. Remember the Chinese plague? And now it's the Q communities, the deviants and the groomers. Those who have loudly protested so-called cancel culture just a few years ago now applaud the fact that in various states across the nation, the rights of trans youth in sports canceled, a trans individual right to health care canceled, diversity, equity, and inclusion training canceled, CRT canceled, wokeism, which is a call for Black people to stay alert concerning racial discrimination, African American history, Q plus gender studies, and let's not forget a woman's right to bodily autonomy. Black and LGBT authors canceled, and thousands of books banned. Authors who, for the most part, were just now becoming visible. Consider even the young Biden inaugural poet Amanda Gorman and her poem, "The Hill We Climb." Drag shows and drag queen story time. Have you ever been to a drag show? You know that drag shows are just pure entertainment and an art form that brings beauty, laughter, transformation, and community together. They are not sexualizing anyone's child. That's a lie. Now, if one wants to discuss sexualizing a child, what about all those child beauty pageants where children as young as 6 wear makeup, bathing suits, and evening gowns? But I digress. Certainly don't see any protesting or canceling of Little Miss Montana, do you? And when I was a boy, I can recall the toy sections of most department stores selling toy pistols and shotguns. Did you say grooming? But I digress again. It is not just erasing Q plus histories or canceling trans rights or the drag shows. This is a concerted effort to cancel our entire community. Conservative Daily Wire commentator Michael Knowles urged his listeners, quote, to make the symbol toxic, the pride flag symbol. We need to make that toxic, he said. Which pride flag, Michael? There are now over 32 of them, representing all the diversity in our communities. And we have included just about every color in your crayon box. So cancel that, Michael. And we're going to take the alphabet too. But rhetoric like this is what puts targets on our backs. Through lies, appeals to ignorance, and mischaracterizations, extremists are trying to push Q plus folks back into the closet. All of us back, at least into the 1950s. But the devil is a lie. Recently, I had a conversation with a family member, and I'll share a snippet of it. My cousin questioned gender-affirming care, medical care for youth. He had a conversation about this. So I asked him if he had any personal involvement in the matter. Confused, he gave me a puzzled look. I clarified for him. I said, "Is meant that was he transgendered himself? Had a transgender family member? Or knew someone transgender who could provide him insights into their experience?" He replied with a no and realized where I was going with the conversation. I continued asking, has he spoken to any doctors or any mental health professionals who work with transgender individuals? He said no. I said, did you at least Google it? He sheepishly smiled, acknowledging that he hadn't. And you have an opinion. I reminded him that transgender people make up only a small percentage of the population. And if he holds an opinion, it is likely to align with the majority. But how long has the majority opinion impacted the lives of those already marginalized groups? I stress the importance of being informed before forming an opinion. He said, maybe I should just keep my uninformed opinion to myself. I left a little pause there for him, though. But I said, that's not what I mean. If your opinion is uninformed, I'm just asking you not to vote based on your opinion. Not to vote. Remember that. So when we look at history, we realize that every generation has had to endure its own struggles for justice. Progress is often met with resistance and pushback. But it reminds us of the endurance of resilience, the resilience that's required to create meaningful change. Like many others before us, particularly the indigenous and the Black communities who have experienced oppression and malice, Q plus communities had to learn resilience and at the same time find the joy in the middle of the struggle. I believe we are called to embrace the struggle. We are facing serious issues right now, and running away is not an option. Fear is not an option. We must confront these issues head on. But joy is not the absence of struggle. Rather, it is the deep sense of fulfillment and hope that comes from facing challenges with determination and solidarity. Theologian Willie J. Jennings stated, quote, I look at joy as an act of resistance against despair and its forces, end quote. I'm reminded of the scriptures that says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations and trials. Joy arises when we acknowledge our shared humanity, embrace the struggles as an opportunity for growth, and persist in our pursuit of justice. It is joy that springs forth from knowing that our efforts are not in vain, that however big or small, they contribute to the bending of the arc toward a more just and inclusive society. We can find inspiration in the countless individuals who have faced adversity and fought for their rights, those who suffered and died during the AIDS crisis, the brave souls who resisted during the Stonewall Uprising, and those who continue to resist today. Theirs and your courage and resilience serve as a testament of the human spirit. There may be moments in our struggle when doubt creeps in, when hope seems lost, when even our hearts ache, as Freddie Mercury beautifully sang. We make a vow to keep grinning, keep smiling, and keep rejoicing. That's what pride represents. A celebration of resilience, of joy, and of the unyielding spirit we have within us. We have tasted the fruits of our visibility, experienced the incredible rewards of being seen and accepted, which is our own version of the promised land. And we will let no one close the curtain on our visibility. We will not put down our displays, retreat to our closets in despair. We know well the intense depths of shame and despair and fear that live in the shadows. And we choose to rise above it. And pride does not hide behind curtains out of sight. Pride is about showing up and showing up authentically. We step onto that stage of life with confidence and we own our identities. Yeah. The show that I'm talking about, that some are trying to cancel, is but a symbol of life in general. The show is about life, my life, and your life, and it's about the life we share in community. Who dares to stop our show? We have long figured out that our survival as a people, as a community, is based on the strength of our togetherness. Ours is not a one-man show. Freddie knew that Queen was greater than him alone. We are stronger together. Let me share a story before I sit down. I was sitting on a bench outside a Pride Fest in Raleigh, North Carolina. My partner and I was verbally assaulted by a protester. Now, shocked, we stayed silent as he repeatedly hurled vile insults. And I'm thinking to myself, street preacher, how are you evangelizing and antagonizing at the same time? I don't think that's what Jesus told him to do. But despite feeling provoked and antagonized, we decided not to engage and move into the festival for safety. Only after to run into the same protester and 5 more with him, spewing some of the vilest stuff I had ever heard. Some of what they were saying, I had to go look it up. And there were children present. But without warning and without uttering a single word, the sisters showed up. The sisters of perpetual indulgence showed up with their beautifully painted, bearded faces and took a stand, shielding us from the hatred that was directed at us. The protesters had signs and a bullhorn, but the sisters didn't come empty-handed either. As the protesters tried to scream at us, all you could hear was, they yelled something else and try to have 8 of those all lined up. We couldn't hear any protester, and after a while, they got their stuff and started moving them down the road. Yes, they did, and I wanted to say, don't let the picture where the... But the sisters... Well, sisters are bad, y'all. Yeah, that's the brown sisters too, and the painted face sisters in my world. But the sisters' spontaneous act showed our collective refusal to surrender. At that moment, I felt a strong sense of solidarity. I am reminded of the remarkable resilience and significant contributions to the world that Q+ individuals have made throughout history. That includes arts, sciences, politics, sports, and their unique perspectives, talents, and achievements. But not only that, their courage and authenticity inspire others to embrace their true selves. Right now, some young person may be feeling inspired watching us right now. By boldly sharing our stories and challenging systemic barriers, members of our community are playing a crucial role in shaping a more inclusive and equitable world for all. We have so much to be proud of. And if you are an ally, thank you for standing with us showing up for us, enduring the struggles on our behalf. I'm thankful for your support, for the supports particularly of this congregation that has stood with us and other marginalized communities, even when it was unpopular, even when it was risky, even when some said it would be wiser to remain quiet. Time and time again, you exemplified the commitment to justice and equality, for your integrity in keeping your values, and for your unwavering support. I say thank you. If not you, then who else would champion our cause? And if not now, then when? This is our movement, immune to the forces of hatred and bigotry. Together we shall stand and not faint. We shall rise and not fall. Never shall we give up. Never shall we give in, because, baby, the show must go. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We are a gentle, angry people. Hymn number 170, let's sing it together. Here we go. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing.